The Witcher has a long history in Poland, where it was born. One could even say that, locally, the brand has as many fans and is as famous as Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. Without a doubt, it's the CD Projekt Red's latest game that made Geralt of Rivia so popular around the world. Here's 10 things about the Witcher franchise that you probably didn't know. If you're interested in The Witcher, you probably know that it was Andrzej Sapkowski who created it. What's interesting though is that it all started in 1986 when Sapkowski took part in a novel contest held by a magazine called Fantasy. He wrote a short story called The Witcher and, surprise, he didn't win the contest. However, Geralt of Rivia became popular all over the country and Sapkowski, who was an international trade specialist back then, decided to leave his job and become a full-time writer. Between 1986 and 1999, he wrote 7 books in total, 2 short stories collections, and 5 parts of the so-called The Witcher saga. Recently, in 2013, Sapkowski published yet another collection of short stories called Season of Storms. The saga is not fully translated to English yet, but I believe that it won't be much longer till you'll be able to read it all about Geralt's adventures. Before Dark Horse's comic books were published, there were 6 issues released between 1993 and 1995 in Poland. Although they were recently re-released and they have a small group of fans, maybe it's best that they were never popularized in the West. All that Sapkowski had to say about them is a short, but very suggestive, no comment. You might have heard that CD Projekt Red has made a deal with R. Talsorian Games to create a pen and paper RPG system based on The Witcher's universe. As it happens a lot with this franchise, it's not the first attempt to do so. In 2001, a publisher called MAG released The Witcher, a game of imagination, in Poland. It was a simple system and definitely one far from being perfect, but it gained many fans across the country. There was also a card game that was called The Witcher Adventure Card Game, released in 2007 on the occasion of releasing the first Witcher game. It was very different and much simpler from the Wild Hunt's Gwent. CD Projekt Red isn't the first developer to come up with an idea of creating a virtual adaptation of the Witcher books. Metropolis Software, led by Adrian Chmielarz, whom you may know from games such as Painkiller, Bulletstorm, or The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, wrote to Sapkowski in 1996 and obtained the license for The Witcher for a ridiculously low amount of money. The developer wanted to involve Sapkowski in the writing process, but he definitely wasn't interested, giving Metropolis Software free hand. Not an uncommon thing for the writer, who often joked that he would sell Geralt even to a toothpaste commercial if he only got paid well. Chmielarz and his team intended to create an ambitious action-adventure game with some RPG elements. The Witcher was supposed to be a story-driven game for adults, with moral choices, mature storytelling, and psychologically complex characters. However, Metropolis Software was too small a studio for a project of this magnitude, and they had to abandon it eventually. All that remains of the game now is just few screenshots that you can find online. After releasing the final book of the Witcher saga, Geralt of Rivia was so popular that local filmmakers decided to adapt Andrzej Sapkowski's novels into a TV series, and a movie that was created quite accidentally by simply taking some pieces of the TV series and releasing it in cinemas. This monstrous adaptation was called The Hexer, and despite a high budget and the best Polish actors at the director's disposal, it had poor written dialogues, really low-level performance, and special effects that were both funny and scary, and definitely not in a good way. We cried, then we laughed, and then we cried again. Sapkowski recalls working on the movie as a really bad experience, and he points that the director rather based the movie's storyline on the aforementioned comic books instead of using the actual books. The only good thing that came out of that horrible creation is a soundtrack composed by Grzegorz Ciechowski that really captures the spirit of The Witcher's world.
Zapachniało powiewem jesieni, z wiatrem zimnym uleciał słów sens. Tak być musi, niczego nie mogą już zmienić brylanty na końcach twych rzęs.
Before we got The Witcher in 2007, a lot has changed regarding the idea for the game. Did you know that it was initially planned as a PC port of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance? At the time, CD Projekt was working with Interplay, but Brian Fargo's company started to collapse, and the Polish developer decided to use the portion of the working code that they already had to create a game using a different license. That's when they bought rights to The Witcher. Initially, we were supposed to play as a Witcher that we would create on our own. However, we would meet the White Wolf in certain points of the story. The game was supposed to use Calaris' IC engine that was previously used in a first-person shooter called Mortyr. Eventually, Ryszard Chojnowski, who was the new coordinator of the project, decided that the team needs to start from scratch. In 2003, the developers met with BioWare at E3 and struck a deal to use their engine called Aurora. Eventually, Geralt of Rivia became the main hero in the game. Even Andrzej Sapkowski was involved in the project, assisting with names and the map of the world, and, of course, to make a comment on the script. He later stated that the game is a high-quality adaptation, although he never played it himself because games are far from his area of interest. The Witcher was meant to be a PC-only game, but sometime after the release, the developer decided to create console versions as well. However, they weren't just going to be simple ports. The new project, that was called The Witcher: Rise of the White Wolf, was supposed to have new controls, a new combat system, new animations, enhanced graphics, and much more than that. Unfortunately, the project was cancelled in 2009 as a result of certain issues with the French developer Widescreen Games that was contracted to make The Rise of the White Wolf. Global economic crisis didn't help as well, forcing CD Projekt Red to cut some of their planned spendings. The first video game by CD Projekt Red is set 5 years after the events of the final part of the Witcher saga, and it is created as a sequel to these books. However, Andrzej Sapkowski declines to accept games as a continuation of his work. He often repeats that there is no such thing as media convergence, and different types of work like books, films, or games cannot be considered as directly related. Let me quote the writer here. The game cannot be canonical, and it cannot be considered as canonical. The game's world and the literature's world are two entirely different things. In other words, if Sapkowski ever decides to write a sequel to the Witcher saga, he won't pay the slightest attention to what CD Projekt Red did in the video games. On the other hand, the Polish novelist often highlighted that he considers the saga definitely closed, as he doesn't want to ruin its mysterious ending by writing what happened next. Tomasz Bagiński was nominated for an Oscar in 2003 for a short animation called The Cathedral that you can see on Platizje Marz's website in full. One of the most significant points in Bagiński's gaming career is an intro for The Witcher from 2007. Bagiński's team also created opening sequences for The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 3, but by that time they became international professionals and they worked with Creative Assembly and Electronic Arts among others. As a result, I guess it's understandable where the enthusiasm came from when it was revealed in 2014 that Tomasz Bagiński will be directing the new movie set in the world of The Witcher. Unfortunately, not much is known about the movie yet. For now, it's been revealed that Bagiński is collaborating with Sean Daniel Company, the budget is somewhere between $20 to $30 million, and that it is going to be released in 2017. The storyline of the movie is to be based on short stories The Witcher and Lesser Evil from the short stories collection entitled The Last Wish. It is supposed to be only a beginning to the whole series of movies or a TV series. There is a slight problem though. Bagiński's project probably won't be called The Witcher, as CD Projekt Red is the owner of this name, and the director didn't request the right to use it. Either the movie will be called differently, or negotiations simply haven't started yet. Polish Imka Theatre is going to stage a dramatic adaptation of Andrzej Sapkowski's work that will be simply called The Witcher. It's being directed by a pretty experienced playwright Paweł Świątek, and it's going to hit the stage in 2016. For the moment, nothing else has been revealed about the project, but as you may expect, we're definitely looking forward to seeing more of The Witcher. So that's it, folks. Here's 10 things about The Witcher franchise that you probably didn't know up until now. Make sure to leave a like, comment, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and thank you for watching. Good luck on the path.